Cognitive science is a field that is still in its infancy, only emerging around the 50s and 60s. And much like these little baby pandas, there's still so much room for growth. From people like Noam Chomsky to John Searle, many cognitive scientists have used a plethora of theory in an attempt to describe the mind. Now, technology is allowing us to look even deeper into the true inner workings of our minds. And much of this work is done here at our very own UC San Diego. So join us as CSSA spotlights two UC San Diego labs, Greene Lab and Neat Labs. First, we will look at Greene Lab, a relatively new lab here on campus that joined us in the summer of 2020. At Greene Lab, Dr. Deanna Greene and her colleagues focus on improving fMRI data structures to create more accurate representations of our brains. These visualizations map out associated areas of our brains and identify key components in larger networks. These newfound associations may help them target possible areas for treatments for various psychiatric disorders. In one of their 2019 studies, they mapped out the probabilistic location of 3 partitions within the amygdala, a brain region heavily associated with emotions. This red area is a single central medial partition, and the larger diagram below represents the amount of projection that section has with the frontal lobe. These connections may have broader implications towards things such as emotional decision-making and emotional control, but more studies would need to be done in order to address these issues. Although these maps may not be completely representative of a wider population, Greene Lab's efforts have shown that there is more connectivity within the amygdala than previously thought. Greene Labs is currently focused on a longitudinal study that tracks the development of children with Tourette syndrome. This study applies an individualized approach towards connection mapping and will further provide insight towards the progression of Tourette's. Now we will look at Neat Labs, which is directed by Drs. Jyoti Mishra and Dr. Dakshin Ramanathan. To talk about the lab and its current projects, I have here with me lab member Aditi Krishna Kumar.
Hi everyone, it's nice to meet you. Like you said, I'm Aditi. I'm currently a sophomore at UCSD and I'm a research assistant at Neat Labs, which is the Neural Engineering and Translation Lab. I joined the lab when I was in my freshman year, so it's been around a year that I've been a part of the lab, and it's been really fun. What the lab focuses on is basically using neurotechnology to identify neural circuit deficits and basically use that to improve diagnosis and therapy of mental health disorders. So what we do is get different participants in, get them to perform different tasks, which assess different areas of cognition like memory, attention, inhibition, things like that. And while they're doing this, they're connected to an EEG, which records their neural data. And then we basically perform data analysis to find relationships between the neural circuitry and the cognitive behaviors that we assessed.
It's pretty interesting. So what do some of your roles look like in contribution to that?
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm part of the data analysis team. So we basically use MATLAB to analyze the neural data. And it's completely remote. I'm actually living in a different country, so it's definitely doable remote. Yeah, and before pre-COVID, when I was a part of the lab, I would actually go in person to the lab and help. I basically learned how to use and set up an EEG, and I basically interacted with the different participants that came in, set up the EEG, guided them through the process, and helped with the data collection.